anyone has any, I'd like to ask first if anyone has any announcements that you want to make.
Carol, do you want to talk about having the June meeting by as a picnic? Did we lose her? Where'd she go? We've lost her.
I think we've lost her.
Oh,
Jill, why don't you talk about the Girl Scouts program?
Okay, in the fall, in September, we're going to have a two-step program with the Girl Scouts, and we had to change the date from September 11th to September 18th. That's on a Sunday from 3 to 5. And what we're going to have is a voting tea. And well, I can't remember what the name of it is, 1920s women's voting tea. And so each of the Girl Scouts could come in, they will register, and they will give them, the Girl Scout leaders, the things, and then we will have tea, and we will have stories read about some of the beginning people who did the suffragettes, and we will let them register to vote, and we will let them vote on, well, they'll have program, and then we will have them vote on which program or which theme that they want to have for the Christmas parade.
I think this Jacqueline
have
fitted.
tea and Girl Scout cookies to eat.
They are. She let me yours, but those are not fitting.
As part,
And then part of what we'll do is to have the girls make a poster or a essay, one-page essay, and we as the Darlene especially will be the one that will select some people to vote on what they like best. And then in the November meeting that we will have, we're going to award the girls a pin and a certificate for the best posters, first, second, and third places for different age groups. And we will have the group of women, young women that are a sorority, and I didn't know this, at the university, who it's a Girl Scout sorority. They will help us serve our cookies and tea. So I think we're going to have fun.
thank you very much, Jill. I would like to mention that I am the State League's coordinator for the Poor People's Campaign. There is going to be a march in DC on June 18th. And if you would like to sign up to get on a bus on the evening of June 17th and ride up to DC for the march on the 18th, and then get on the bus after the march and ride back to Alabama, we can make that happen for you. So I've posted everything on social media. It's on our Greater Tuscaloosa Facebook page. It's also on the state Facebook page, or you can just email me or tell me later in this meeting, and I'll get you all the information that you need.
Whose heartbeat
Okay.
are we hearing?
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you.
Whose heartbeat are we hearing?
Someone is breathing into a microphone.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Carol, are you back?
I am here.
Okay. Would you like to talk about our June meeting?
We're going to try an in-person meeting in June, and it's still in flux, but how about let's have another picnic and let's get together and talk about how we're going to go forward. We've got some ideas that we'd like to run by you, but we're open to other ideas because we want to make sure that our meeting schedule and our meeting formats meet the requirements and wishes of everybody as we go forward. So this summer is going to be a great time for us to revamp and rethink how we want to meet in the future. And we've appreciated our lunch times at the Capstone, and we may be having some of those, but I think we want to be open to some other meeting ideas. People have talked about that. So I haven't really had a chance to chat with the board, but Peggy and I put our heads together, and two heads are better than one. We were talking about not having a 5th Tuesday social in May, but instead using our June meeting as both a social and a planning meeting for us to get together, hopefully outdoors, and get some things started that will meet our needs.
Thank you. And Peggy, do you want to do another follow-up about our voter registration
Yeah,
event?
I think it was, we did it on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's just a 3-day event. And we've had enough people signed up to people, what would you say, woman the table, man the table, over the table for 3 days, except for tomorrow morning. There's nobody there from 9 to 11. But the City Hall has been wonderful, letting us set up a table. They've made us a very comfortable spot near the DMV office there in the building. And today, this afternoon, we handed registration forms to 2 people who were going to take them down, that they had forgotten about it. I know yesterday I talked to someone who had forgotten to change his address, and so he was going to take care of that. So it's been moderately successful. We're still muttering about the number of person hours it takes to get so few registrations. So we're trying to figure out how to do it better. But if we ever want to do anything down at the Northport Civic Center, they are all in. It's really nice. I'm very pleased with them. And they put us on their social media and advertised it. They made us laminated vote here, register here signs and put it everywhere around. So it was a good place to do something. And several of their employees have come in and said, please, if you want to do any more events here, do so. So it might be something that we want to follow up with in the future. And I think for being just the last week before the primaries, it was a useful thing to do. I think we alerted a lot of people to the fact that there is an amendment to vote on that they need to look at ahead of time for it. So there's one on this ballot, and then there'll be 5 more in the fall. So I think it was pretty good. And
Thank you very much. Well, now it is my distinct pleasure as a coordinator of this meeting to introduce our guest speakers. Linda Crowder is the co-president of the People's Loan Program, and Judy Taylor is here with her. And I'm sorry, Judy, I don't know your official title with the program.
One of the treasurers.
One of the treasurers. So I am just going to turn the meeting over to Linda and Judy, and we're going to hear about the importance of being aware of what's happening with the People's Loan Program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to each of you today. The People's Loan Program in Tuscaloosa actually is celebrating our 3rd anniversary this year. Because of COVID, I was listening to your plans about your meetings and whether or not to go back to live meetings. The same thing has occurred with the People's Loan Program. But the premise of our program is to provide interest-free loans to people that are in emergency situations and try and help them to avoid predatory lending through payday lending agencies that have such astronomical interest rates, and they get sucked into that vortex, and then there's no way to get out. Essentially, they never get free of what's happening once they ever borrow from one of these agencies. So the requirements with our program is they must be employed, they must have income, but we loan for emergency situations with utilities, rent, the
Broken
loan.
cars.
Exactly. And the way that it works is that we actually make the check payable to the vendor, who would be it a utility company or a landlord or a mechanic, to try and help this person get past the crisis. And then they pay back at a rate of $10 a month until the note is paid. And ours is based on a model from a program in Auburn that's been running successfully now for almost 20 years.
More than that.
I'm sorry, say again?
Yes, she's right. It's a little more than 20 years that they've
Okay.
been running down there. It's also established along, or a motivation for establishing this program was the Tuscaloosa Citizens Against Predatory Lending.
Yeah.
Reaction continues to a draft Supreme Court opinion that indicates a majority of justices are ready to overturn Roe versus Wade. Karen Cafo reports from Washington on what the historic decision.
Okay. I think that we had some bleed back in the background from SCOTUS decision, but anyway, Judy is correct. And B.B. McKinney, who I'm sure some of you already know, that's been very effective in legislation on the state level, trying to get something done about predatory lending, was one of our founding board members, and she actually is going to be honored at this event that we're having on May 12th. I'd like to tell you more about that event, but Judy, at this point, do you want to share a little bit about the financials and the as one of the treasurers? And
Well, I would like to do a little review of predatory lending. And while they don't charge interest, because if it were interest, it would be usury and illegal, they charge fees per $100. So today my car broke down and I don't have the $300 to repair it. So I go to the predatory lending store and they loan me $300 at $17.50 per 100, and then I must pay it back in a week. Now, what's the chance if I didn't have $300 this week that I'm going to have an extra $300 next week? You know, so that's one of the problems with predatory lending. I actually have an acquaintance who borrowed $1,000 and paid on that $1,000 for 4 years. He ended up paying $4,020-something on the note, and he still owed $1,200 when I helped him out with that. Okay. So that's the kind of cycle they get you into, because you have to pay it in full. And then we have to remember that that doesn't help Alabama. All that money, and it's estimated to be $1.8 billion, goes outside of Alabama. And while Bibi and her group were successful in having rallies and proposing legislation, unfortunately, a lot of our legislators are invested in payday lending or predatory lending organizations, and it's very difficult to get something passed. So People's Loan Program makes interest-free, no-fee loans, and we let them pay it back as they can. We started out with contributions from the churches, predominantly. Some of our business owners are board members and contributing and donating. But we have First Presbyterian Church, Grace Presbyterian Church, Forest Lake. Help me out now, Linda. I'm going to forget somebody. It'll be bad if I forget somebody.
Unitarian Universalist Church,
Yeah,
Forest Lake Methodist Church,
And then
The Episcopal, where was Tim? Christ.
Canterbury
Canterbury.
Episcopal.
So we had a
And
group
then
of
in the very
churches.
beginning, Holy Spirit and the Catholic services they did provide some of the seed money as well.
Right. And the seed money is then used to make the loans that we make. And the loans are made only if the person meets the requirements and if our loan can help them be whole. If it fixes their financial crisis and we see that they can afford to, say, pay rent, or have enough to provide for their family, then we can help them. We don't want to give a loan to someone who can't really make ends meet from month to month. We are well connected with the various services, and Linda could tell you more about that.
Several of the social services we have been networking with from the very beginning. For example, community service programs of Tuscaloosa, they have funding for emergency housing as well as emergency utility assistance. And so we have been able to call on them in situations where either the person, what we could loan them would not make them whole. CSP might be able to make them whole. And so we are coordinating with other agencies within the greater Tuscaloosa area to try and maximize what we're capable of providing to clients that come to us.
And we get a lot of referrals from the 211 network from Tuscaloosa City.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Tuscaloosa Emergency Services has also been a real go-to for us, and they work with multiple agencies. So I can only think of 2 occasions over the last 3 years when someone has come to us that we've not been able to do anything to help them. But we've managed to find private sector individuals that would help them financially if they didn't qualify for one of the agencies or for a loan through our program. So we're real proud of it.
Pretty successful in piecing together a good quilt for the people to help cover their needs right then. And our only cost of operating has been a part-time CALM, client agent loan manager, client advocate loan manager. So we call that CALM to remind us to be calm. But doing a part-time work, and right now we have Lori Maxey, as you might know, with as the director of the House Tuscaloosa, working part-time with us right now while they're doing repairs and renovations. And she's been a real blessing to us as we try to piece our program back in a non-COVID world, get it started back again. Out of the original funding that we raised, and I think it was $55,000 or something $1,000. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare that number for tonight. We are still very positive with that. We've been able to help people, and we tell people straight up if we can't help them. We talk to them, get their information, make sure we calculate all of their income, and continue to remind them that this is a loan and they are expected to pay it back according to terms that they can do. And yet that let them know that with this money, with their return and their repaying their loan, we can make other loans. Wow. So we actually are very proud of one of our clients, and she has made 2 loans, 2 successful loans, and she has repaid every bit of it. So, you know, it's really a good thing when someone has a sense of pride in having paid their bills. So that's one of our objectives.
Judy is correct, and we don't really do financial counseling per se, but we do have an application where we actually list down all of their income, including SNAP or disability payments, everything, and then a very detailed itemized statement of their expenditures, and basically whether or not they would have any funds left at the end once those expenditures are covered to make a loan note of even $10 a month. And there have been a couple of times when, you know, they're literally operating at such a deficit that we're able to show them on paper where they're insolvent, and try and help them and give them some guidance about how to bring change about to where they're not operating at a negative each month.
And to connect them with various services that may help them. But it's really encouraging when a client comes in and you run their history, their spending, and their financial position, and they look at you and say, you know I got myself into this, but I'm going to get myself out. And it feels really good to watch them make those payments. And yeah, I didn't know anything about Cash App. How many of you know about Cash App? Nobody? Well, let me tell you what. Oh, Anna knows about Cash App.
We had a huge learning curve on that one, didn't we?
Big learning curve. It seems you can have a Cash App on your phone. It's like a credit card, and you get a number and it gets charged to you, and you can pay your bills that way.
Right.
So, you know, those are the growing pains we have suffered. Finding the right loan manager, getting the Cash App, the finances worked out. Now, we're really proud of the fact that we are completing our 501c3 as People's Loan Program.
Right.
So we will be a bona fide 501c3 group and tax deductible for any donations. We have been operating thus far under the 501c3 of Grace Presbyterian. And luckily for us, we don't have to pay rent because we have a church helping us or utilities, you know, and with all the different groups that we have, we can move our meetings around, we can bring in new people. It's a real blessing to see the community come together. We have several businesses that are represented. We are a very diverse board. So we want to be available to anyone and everyone and have them feel comfortable.
At this point, we certainly want to tell you about our event on the 12th, but before we move to the 12th and telling you about those events, do y'all have any questions about the program itself or how we operate, or how you can refer someone to us, anything like that?
Linda, this is Linda. I was wanting to ask you about the geographic area that you serve. Do people have to be from Tuscaloosa or Tuscaloosa County or West Alabama? What's the geographic limitation?
West Central Alabama. Now, we have had a client in Greene County, and I believe one in Hale County, but most of them are from the greater Tuscaloosa area that have applied so far. And we haven't really done a whole lot of outreach. So you know, I think as we get the word out there that more West Central Alabama is aware that we exist.
Do you
And we
have
know-
office hours or do you set up appointments online? How does that work for people?
We actually do have office hours. Those hours are on our website. The CALM, the Client Advocate Loan Manager, works on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Her hours right now, if I'm not mistaken, are 10 to 2 on those 3 days. And then there's an additional 3 hours somewhere in the week, but besides those, but I know for sure those 4 hours, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. But it is on the website. She does carry the phone, that the phone number is on the website for clients to reach out for emergency assistance. And so she actually can begin the screening process as soon as they call her. They don't necessarily have to come in to the office until she can do everything as far as the application itself, up to and including scanning a copy of their ID, their driver's license and social, to get the screening committee the information they need. But then once the loan is approved, then there would have to be an appointment for that person to come into the church, sign the paperwork, and pick up the check for the vendor.
And they have to
Go ahead.
deliver it. They deliver it to the person they owe the money to. So that's
Right.
that sense of paying their bill, you know. So that's a point of pride.
And what's the usual amount that you will loan? Or I know it varies, but there must be a max, I would think.
Well, we try and cap it at 250. We have made a couple of exceptions. And one was the client that Judy was talking about, how proud we were of her. It was a situation that exceeded $600, and it was to help cover a child's tuition. And it was just there were so many mitigating circumstances that justified that, doing that extra amount. And what was great was that she totally validated that, because she paid it back in less than the allotted time, you know.
Wow.
And
Right.
oftentimes, if the need exceeds what we feel we can do, because we learned some hard lessons the first year we were in business, right?
We did. That's true.
That's part of it. But we have learned how to piece together. So we have private donors we can call on to help us. Other funding we can call on if someone is really in dire straits.
Right.
And Linda mentioned the emergency loan. The loans don't always happen on our schedule. You know, the power is going to be cut off tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. So
Right.
we have to move quickly with that. So that's sometimes a challenge.
And we do have an emergency loan screening committee that we can send out an email this afternoon if an applicant has an emergency, and we can convene a meeting tomorrow morning and make a decision. And that person, almost without fail, I really can only think of a couple of times that we've denied a loan. And they can pick up the check within 24 hours. And we're able to reach out to the utilities in circumstances where, say, it's going to be cut off this afternoon. If we call that utility and say we're confident this loan is going to be approved, they will defer the cutoff to give us a chance to help that client.
And is your committee then from your board members, or is this a separate volunteer committee?
No, it actually is board members. And matter of fact, I sit on that screening committee. Judy, are you on that screening committee?
I'm not. I'm on the committee to sign the check.
That's right. Uh, but we actually have 18 board members, and there are 5 of us on that emergency committee. Kathy Hoop, who is the pastor
minister.
and past president at Grace, and then of course Lou Ann Sellers, who is the associate pastor at First Pres,
First
myself,
Pres.
Gilly Presley. Okay, I'm having a senior moment. We got one more. Oh, Sandy Stilson.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, good.
And
Right.
Anna had asked a question about administration, an administrator previously, and we did have a previous loan manager, administrator, executive director, but that's another lesson we learned,
Right.
So, we've decided to stick with client advocate and loan manager because the person working interviews the client, starts the process, supports them in trying to help them identify the information they need to produce, and then is the advocate through the loan screening committee. So, when COVID came around, a lot of the loan people needing a loan or wanting a loan sort of disappeared with the COVID funding that was provided, the support.
Right.
So that was the good news and the bad news, but it's allowed us to learn and come back stronger now, and to really have defined the role we think we play and have to play. And hopefully one of these days we'll be like the group in Auburn who can re-roof a house, I mean,
Right.
that would just be a wonderful thing to see. So this is our first fundraiser. First time we've gone outside of our committee in an aggressive way. And we have some really good things in our silent auction. It's going to be posted online very shortly. And, I think we'll be able, you might find something you couldn't live without.
Right.
Linda, you want to talk about the auction?
The auction, I do. One of the really neat things that we have had someone to donate is a week at the beach. It's a beach house that sleeps 14. It actually has an elevator for handicap accessibility, but it's a house. It's not a condo or in a complex, So it's a really, really nice place that we're hoping to raise at least $1,500, because where else could you go to Gulf Shores? You have to cross the street to get to the beach, but you're right there at the beach. Sleep 14 people for 7 nights.
And have some really hard puzzles to work.
That's right.
It's going to be all week. And I left a note for the person coming after me. Please finish this puzzle. Let me know.
But that's just an example of one of the things that will be auctioned off. We have some memorabilia that the University of Alabama Athletics Department has donated, signed footballs and photographs and those sorts of things. And then artwork from Lori Lane, Barbara Hayes?
Hayes. Mm-hmm.
And then Gary Creek. Several of our local artists have donated artwork that's going to be auctioned off.
And some of those beautiful bowls.
Mm-hmm. Have any of you guys ever been to the Empty Bowls luncheon at Grace? And those really cool bowls. There are several of those that will be part of this auction. And
we have those wooden ones that are made out of special aged wood.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the man's name? I can't remember his name. The artist that makes those bowls. Charlie.
The minister, Charles.
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Y'all all give me your number and at
Is it
midnight.
Durham?
tonight,
Yeah, yeah, Durham. That's right.
Yeah.
Joy Durham.
That's it.
Yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous. Thanks. Oh, and we have something for you, Tom Fanning. We do. It's a special, a 4-hour class in home brewing and a case of the product.
And microbrewing, that's right. we didn't know
Microbrewing, yeah. So we were trying to find something for the men to enjoy too. So, and if you don't
Right.
like that, you can go fishing with one of my donations.
But there
Am
are
allowed to just
lot of
enjoy it,
business.
Judy, or do I need to open up a retail business with it?
I believe you could probably, well, we'll try it first, Tom, then we'll decide that. We don't want to invest any money until we know how good you brew.
Peggy, you asked how many loans have we made? I don't have those figures, and I apologize. I should. I want to say the very first year it was 60, and then COVID set in, and it has declined each year since then. Our success rate on repayment is about 35%, which based Auburn's success rate is about 20, and so I think they tell us not to be discouraged by that repayment rate. And I actually, with the circumstances that we find some of our clients in, I actually feel pretty good about that 35%. Which probably if it was a banker that we were presenting this pitch to, they would be killed over in a cardiac arrest right now. It's like, oh no.
So we're going to be at the Diana Washington Arts Center on May the 12th from 6 to 8. And we're going to have some, I'm sorry?
Heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Heavy hors d'oeuvres. Some beautiful objects to look at. Cash bar. Tickets are being sold now. You can contact any one of us, or you can show up at the door. We have our website up, and the tickets are on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a table seating 6 people. It's $180 or $30 per seat. And we hope to really see have a lot of fun just talking with people and looking through the silent auction and just sort of taking a deep breath. It will also be our first general meeting, as Linda said, because of COVID stepping in and putting us out of business for a little while. But we're excited about that. And we're looking for a really great 2022 and going forward. Any other questions?
There was another question about if they can't go to the gala, how do they get to the auction items?
They can look at the auction items online, but it is a silent auction, so you would have to be present to participate in the auction.
Okay.
Or send a representative.
Right, exactly.
Now, if you choose to donate, there's also a donate link on our website. And I saw that someone posted the website on your chat, so that's great. Thank you. So we have the donate button there where you can purchase your tickets. Now, I had not being really great computer wise, I had to hunt how to purchase my ticket. But if you look at the website, there's a column on the left that says or a label for events. And if you push the event button, you can purchase your tickets online.
Mm-hmm.
If you just look at the website, you will see the donate button. Okay, so that's 2 separate things. One, the donate just to make a contribution, which we would certainly appreciate, and will provide you with the proper thank you and tax receipts. And then if you go into the event, you can actually buy tickets there.
Exactly. And if you haven't been to the Dinah Washington Center before, it's a lovely venue and it's right downtown. It's at the opposite end of the block from the Bama Theater, the old Allen and Jemison building. And we would love for you to come. And we're also honoring BB McKinney that night. She will be presented an honor during those festivities for all of her hard work with the program.
Just,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
just to comment, I first learned of the program just a few weeks ago through Forest Lake Methodist Church, and it might have been BB who informed me about it. But I am pleased that the concept has come to Tuscaloosa, and I certainly appreciate Linda and Judy taking the lead in helping it to have a home here in Tuscaloosa. If I'm not mistaken, this concept came from India, and the developer or developers of it won a Nobel Prize a number of years back when this first became an international piece of information.
That's correct, actually. And it was a merchant in India that was helping primarily Indian women to start their own businesses, and starting them with seed money was kind of the concept here.
And most of our clients are female.
Right.
Most of them are female. We've had one or two men.
I want to thank you all because I know that several of our league members, including BB and Barbara Karin, and I think Annette too, have been very, very active. Annette is on the call tonight. Very, very active. And I know that it's fighting uphill when you get to the legislature, and that really has been a non-starter and probably will continue to be. So thank you all so much for your time and your investment in our community, because this can mean so much, and that it's ongoing and that you're persevering past COVID. I just appreciate you doing that for us.
Thank you all so much for the opportunity to tell you all about it. And we really hope you'll come out and join us on the 12th. We'd love to see you there.
Would you send me that little one, that flyer that I could post to the League of Women Voters email address? And I'll send it out and push it. So you've got just send it to the LWVGT League of Women Voters thing, and I will forward it on to the membership and encourage them to attend. Yeah.
I'll scan that and send it to you.
We do have to get around this damn payday loan mess.
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
It's just evil.
It is.
Exactly right. Well, thank you all again so much for the opportunity.
Okay. I'm going to stop recording.